So I decided to interview my older brother, Jared Skillicorn, who started a company called Clean Cut Lawn Care back when he was 16. He started it off as a sole proprietorship, but then later it changed to an LLC once it grew a little bit. And he decided to make that decision just to help save him as far as like assets and if he was to be sued and stuff like that. So he started this company back when he was 16 and he was in high school and he was working for this guy named Matt, which owned this big yard care company. And he learned the ins and outs of this yard care company, which they did a lot of, mowing lawns, trimming trees, bushes, weeding, sprinkler work, and all of that. And so he learned all of this on the job. And eventually, after, 2 years or so of working for this guy, he decided he was wondering like, well, I know how to do all this stuff and I could go out and buy a lawnmower and I bet I could find my own clients. Why am I still working for this guy when I could do this and basically make all of the money? And so that's exactly what he did was he went to my grandfather who actually knows a lot about business and has had experience starting his own company. But he asked my grandfather for a loan so that he could go out and buy all this equipment and buy the stuff that he would need. And my grandfather made him write down his business plan before he'd give him the loan. So he would, he's like, I want to know what your expenses are, how much they're going to cost, what you need to buy, like all the equipment you're going to need. Um, how are you going to find clients? Are you going to go door to door? Are you going to go to your church, etc.? Like, what do you need? And so my brother wrote all this down and planned it out until eventually he turned it into my grandfather and then got the loan for his company. And it actually surprised me and it impressed me, like, especially as I look back at it now, where my brother didn't go out and buy brand new equipment for everything. He bought my mom's old lawnmower that we used. It was like a couple years old and she had just got a new one. So he bought the old one. He went to my grandfather and bought his old trailer, which he like rigged a ramp so that he could wheel a lawnmower in there and hold the grass clippings and everything that he would need. And then he went to the different people in my church. He would talk to them in church, and he even went to their house and was like, "Hey, I'm starting this yard care company. Could I mow your lawn?" And so he's like, "I'll do it for this amount of money." And a lot of them said yes because they knew him, they knew who we were, and like they already knew us, and they knew his work ethic already from before, just because they knew us. And so they let him mow their lawn. And then he grew his business mainly on word of mouth, where he mowed their lawn, he did a great job, and they referred their friends and their friends and their friends. And that's mainly how he'd get clients, but he also would go door to door. He'd mow a lawn and get finished a little bit early. And so he'd knock on their neighbors' doors and say, "Hey, I'm mowing a lawn in the neighborhood. Do you guys need your lawn mowed?" And he also gained clients that way, which kind of surprised me, but I think they respected the, enthusiasm and just the sheer determination of his business. And so some of the keys of success that I thought were really important and that he kind of talked about when I was interviewing him was the relationships of both, our family members, the church members, and then even the clients. So, relationships, he never would have been able to get that loan, or it would have been a lot more costly if he went to a bank. And the clients that he had were the best marketers that he could have asked for because they were the end user, the consumer, and they were referring him to their friends, which gave him business. And the second thing I would say is like the business plan that he made at the very beginning that our grandfather made him do, I think benefited him the most because it made him plan out every move, like all the costs, what he would do to make money and how he would, do that. And I think that overall made him very successful. The last thing that I would say is that he knew his industry. We talked about this in class, but I felt like it was very important and that he explained to me where he worked for a company for about 2 years and learned the ins and outs of that business. and then applied that to his business, which was the same industry. And it's kind of what we talked about, you know, if you're going to start a business, you know, start with something you know. And that's exactly what he did. And I feel like that worked to his benefit and his success in his company.